distinct privilege tonight of welcoming our National Grange President, Chris Hamp, to the floor. But before I do that, I want to say thank you guys for joining us. It's 8:30 at night here Eastern. It's 5:30 on the other coast where Chris is. And we've had a little bit of those moments where we often wonder who's going to join us in the evening. And so, we get it. You're taking a lot of time out of your schedule, and thank you. This is exciting because we're leading up to Grange Month, as Chris will talk about, and it should be one of the biggest times of year for us to celebrate. So truly, I get that you have other things to do tonight, but we're happy to have you here and have you be able to share the information you get tonight with our members back in your Granges. But don't just wait for your next meeting. Make sure to share that with your friends, family around the Grange as you get off of here tonight and as you get excited and talk with them throughout the month. So without further ado, I'm going to put Chris on spotlight. And I will just mention that we'll be monitoring the chat. Sam's here with us, Sam Wilkins. She's going to help us monitor chat. So as you hear something that's of interest to you, stick it in the chat and we'll make sure to call it out. And if we can get you other resources or details, we will also be dropping that in the chat.
Well, yeah, hello everybody, and thanks for getting on. As Amanda said, we know that your time is the most precious commodity of any of ours, and so I want to get started and make sure that we get wrapped up when we need to, but want to have some fun tonight, right? Want to make sure that we are talking about Grange Month and sharing ideas and showing you the resources that we've got prepared for you and getting everybody set up to walk that walk in April or whatever month makes sense for your Grange. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Before we get started, I want you to do 4 things. If you have a pen and paper in front of you, jot 4 things down quick and we'll come back to them. If you don't, no worries. I'm sure this is part of that mental test where you have to recount them later on anyway. But so the first one is build excitement. Build excitement. The second one is try something new. The third one is advocate. And the fourth one is connect to Project Sustenance. So those 4 things, and we'll circle back to those, but those 4 things are going to be key to kind of putting together the thought process for how we jump into Grange Month. I want to begin with Amanda. I know you've so nicely highlighted me, but let's highlight that website if you would and do a share screen on the homepage, please. I want to show everybody. So this is the homepage of the National Grange. Hopefully this looks super familiar to you. And as Amanda's going through and see those sliders on the top, hit those arrows through. These are kind of the biggies right now, the things that are coming up, the main programs and projects that are going on. And here is the one for Grange Month. So to find the resources for Grange Month, you click on that slider, and then you're going to have 6 documents that are available for you here, and all of these are downloadable. So the first one, let's start with the proclamation. The proclamation went out to all of our state presidents and national officers on March 1st as part of the Frontline Flash. I know I've already seen it in some of the state publications. Thanks, Tom. I saw it in the Washington State Grange News that came out the other day. So it's good to see it out a little bit early and to give folks that reminder to know that this document is available and that you can share it in your publications. You can bring it to county commissioner meeting or city council meeting and share it as you want. There's some words in here that I want to spend just a couple of minutes talking about. And I want to talk about, all of these letters and this proclamation. Everything that we put out is carefully thought about, right? It's this, it's the talk and the walk that we're focusing on and making sure that the two fit together, that they're not disconnected, but that they're connected. And so every word in here is here for a purpose. I want to start with in the third whereas, Amanda, the fueled by the energy. If you want to grab that phrase right there, fueled by the energy of its members. That is a piece of, look in the mirror and be the spark that is the energy for your Grange, for getting your members geared up for Grange Month and of making sure that you gear your community up for Grange Month. And again, that can be April, that can be any month of the year. Maybe your anniversary is June, July, August, pick a month, or there's some other major event that happens in your community that makes sense to piggyback on, but find the time that makes sense for you and make that Grange Month, or do April and do another month. But this is where I want to reiterate, and I can't say it enough, that it's so important to do what works for you. And yes, we put these resources on here, but that's kind of the fallback. The best stuff comes from each of you and what makes sense for your Grange in your community. So don't ever think that you're locked into using what we're showing you here, but use some of these words to create some things of your own. Use some of these ideas and just make them explode and put all those fancy sprinkles on them to make it important in your community. So that's the energy piece, right? We've got to have that energy every single time you talk about Grange. That energy and the passion and that love of what you're doing and why you're doing it. The next one has, in the first line, the next whereas has the word welcome. And I think that one is absolutely critical to talk about being welcoming, right? That we've got to make sure that when new folks come into our meeting place, into our program, into our project area, wherever we're at, whether that's our own hall or somewhere else, that we're greeting them, that we're making sure that they feel welcome, that we're making sure that somebody is asking them questions or answering their questions or somehow getting them connected to you, to your Grange family, to that Grange event, and making them feel like, hey, this time was well worth it, right? Worth my while to come tonight, to come today, to drive through the rain, to do whatever they did to get there, but it's worth their while. So make sure that you've got that welcome hat on and you're really focusing on making sure that they know that they're wanted and that they're going to be an important part of the event. The next one is in that same whereas, in the second line, there's the word inspire. And that's where that person that you just welcomed, you also are inspiring. It's not just that next generation of leaders, but it's anybody that walks in the door that you've got to share. You've got to inspire, you've got to make sure that they understand, why is this important to me? Right? Why am I here on Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, whatever day it is, that why is that important to me? And then it's going to be more likely be important to them, right? So it's that inspiring them with your enthusiasm, with your friendliness, with your passion, and with how you interact with the rest of the folks in the room, right? I mean, you've walked into a room where you've got a vibe that you're like, whew, not sure which cold wind just came through here, but there's something going on, right? That's what we've got to leave outside, and make sure that it's warm and comforting, and a place that people want to come back. So find that inspiration in doing that. The next one has the word fun. And if any of you have read anything that I have written in the last year plus, have heard me speak, the word fun is part of that dialogue, and part of absolutely the core belief that I have, that we do not Grange without it being fun. And shame on us if we think that can happen. There's absolutely nothing written anywhere that says we have to do Grange and not have fun at the same time. So if there's any of these words that really stand out to focus on that fun, right? How do you go wrong with making it fun and making sure that folks want to come back? I mean, the goal here is when they're driving home, that they're like, wait a minute, when did they say that next event was? Who grabbed the calendar? When can we come back and be a part of this, right? So every single time, that's got to be the reaction, that they want to come back. And the they is everybody. It's your new members. It's your not yet members. It's members of the community. So work on that fun piece. The last whereas has dream big. And the dream big piece is kind of the audacious goals, right? Everybody saw the champ word of the month is audacious, and so ambitious, bold, often seemingly unattainable, pushing the limits, driving progress. Those are audacious goals. That is what you want to focus on. Everybody here, we all have goals, right? When was the last time your Grange talked about goals? I mean, hopefully every time you talk about an event, right? What's the goal? Is there a goal for how much money is put in the donation jar? Is there a goal for how many people walk over the threshold that day? Is there a goal for how many applications you get completed for prospective members? What is the goal? So hopefully everybody's got goals that you're talking about for every single one of these. Otherwise, what are you measuring it? What are you measuring it against, or how do you make it better? How do you know what to do a little pivot on and make it better, how to kick it up a notch if you're not sure and you don't have any benchmarks that you're holding it to. So dream big, hit those audacious goals, make yourselves stretch, right? Make it stretch to where, there's a quote about comfort zones and that they're a nice place, but that nothing grows there, right? Nothing grows in comfort zones. So think about that as you're working on those goals that you make them so that you got to work for them, right? You got to work for them. And then in the resolved, that last line, celebrate, engage, and grow with us, right? That's the piece that is so important and that we're looking for, is all of these folks that you engage with for your Grange Month is to make sure that they know the Grange, they know what you're doing, they know what you're there for, they respect the history you have, but they're also looking for, what are you going to do next, right? What's the next thing on your list to make your community better, to make those connections and to keep doing what it is that you've been known to do. We can't just rest on the past. We've got to keep pushing that forward. You've heard me say 100 times, if not more, that windshield is so much bigger than the tiny little rear view mirror. And it's that way for a reason, right? Because we're going forward. So everything that you're doing, look out that windshield, get that full big picture, and then find those audacious goals and go for it. And guess what? What happens if you don't meet a goal? Right? Nobody dies. This is all good, right? You learn to push yourself. You learn to grow together as that group that's meeting and planning, and the ones that are the boots on the ground putting that event together. You're building that camaraderie, right? You're building that being able to rely on each other and that respect for what folks bring to the table to get the project done. So that's the proclamation. Probably way more than you ever thought you needed to know about it, but I wanted to kind of walk through that it's more than just some old words on paper, and trust me, this is one that's never been written before, and next year there'll be another one that's never been written before that pushes us to get out there and to make this thing grow, right? That's goal number one. So if we go back to the website, Amanda, to those documents, there's one called Grange Month Spirit Week. There we go. So on this, for Spirit Week, starting on, what is that, Sunday the 13th, you've got 7 days that you can post something on your social media. So the hope is, right, that every one of us uses those 7 days to focus on our Grange experience. Whether that's, we can find something in these 7 days that is from years and years ago. We can find something that is from, last week that we did. It does not matter. It does not matter how recent it is, if you want to include 1 photo or 44 photos, but the thought is that we're getting information out onto social media using those 2 hashtag phrases that we can track. The hashtag Grange Month 25 and the hashtag Grange Strong. If you would put the two of those at the end of every single one of your Grange Month posts, whether it's this personal spirit week or your Grange's spirit week uh, posts, or whether it's for other events that you're doing during Grange Month, if you use those two things, we can track them. Phil can track you. You might get a phone call to write something for Grange Today or for Good Day magazine. But it's a great way to see what everybody's doing out there. But I think that's the main thing for Spirit Week is print this page out, and you've got basically a month, and start scratching down some ideas for what you want to highlight that day. What are you going to highlight for Grange Strong Day? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to your Grange? And what can you post, or what can your Grange post to highlight Grange Strong Day? And then do that. Go find that photo, have it ready to go, and be prepared to drop those in on the right days. But we've got Grange Strong Day, we've got Service Spotlight Day. Boy, I know we've got a couple of past and present community service directors on here tonight. I mean, we know that there's hundreds and thousands of community service ideas and projects that are going on out there. So there should not be any lack of highlighting Monday, the 14th of April for Service Spotlight Day. So highlight those things that you're doing, and share those not only with what you're doing with your own Facebook stuff, but make sure you tag it into some of your neighborhood groups and some other places to get the word out of what your Grange does. Talent Tuesday, right? Whether you want to learn a talent, something that you want to hone a skill, or maybe you're going to highlight a talent that you learned in the Grange already, right? And that you're happy to have had the opportunity to learn that skill, practice that skill in the Grange. And whether that's something to do with handicrafts, whether that has to do with a band instrument, whether that has to do with, I don't know, you come up with the talent that you've learned, or that your Grange has helped people learn. I know there's a Grange in Montana that was just teaching folks how to cast a fly line, so for fly fishing. So that would be a talent that would be super fun to learn, and those guys learned it at the Grange. So think about that, and like I said, use this month to get yourself ready to find those photos. If you have to go get them off of somebody else's phone, have them forward it to you, and be ready to drop it in for your Grange. Why I joined Wednesday, right? Write something up, add a couple of photos that kind of illustrate that, and that's your Wednesday. Grange Apparel Day, that goes without saying. Find your favorite shirt or hat or combination thereof. Parade Day, and then of course Grange Future Day. What does Grange Future look like? That one I'm interested to see what folks come up with is Grange Future Day. But I think that's I think Phil put together a fun list of days for this this Grange Month and this Spirit Week. And like I said, please take advantage of sharing with your friends through social media, with sharing with your community, why Grange is important. I'd circle back to that, but why is Grange important to you? And when they not understand why it's important to you, I think there's going to be an easier connection to understanding why it can be important to them, right? So that's one of the key things there. How we doing, Amanda?
Great. Nona Bear has just reminded us that it's a great idea for Granges to share what they're doing with their local newspapers, radio, and TV stations. This is super important. And, you can use Grange Month as your news hook. I mean, me as a former journalist, I'll tell you that that's something we always looked for, right? Is a reason for people to be reaching out and saying this is the month to cover us. But as you've mentioned a couple times, and I know you're going to go back to, sometimes April may not make as much sense for your Grange as other months. And so if you have to wait and have your Grange month news hook to be, for example, my local Grange here is June, because that's when we reorganized. And that's gearing up for our fair, which is our biggest thing, right? So figure out what your news hook is. That's a really important shout out from Nona. So thanks, Nona, for that. And Chris, back to you.
Yep, thanks, Nona. And that's kind of one of those audacious goals, right? That we don't always think about TV and radio because it feels unattainable, right? It feels like they're just interested in big time stuff. This is just the little Grange stuff. But Nona's absolutely right. Make contact and nurture some of those relationships where you've got those folks in your phone and you can make contact and reach out and engage them with what you're doing. They're looking for those sorts of stories more than you might think. So this brings us to the challenge, right? I mean, what would an hour with Chris be without having some sort of a challenge involved? And so we've created a Grange Month challenge. And this is where we're going to tie it back to those 4 phrases that we talked about earlier. The first thing that the challenge is, and Amanda, I got to be honest, I don't remember where those are at on the website, but I think they're
I
somewhere.
will show you. They are right here at the top of this page.
Oh, right there they are. Not even in a document; they're just loose there at the top.
Right there, you can't miss them.
Yeah, so the first one, bring a friend to the Grange and introduce them to what the Grange is and introduce them to your Grange, that gang, that family, that group that makes your Grange go, right? Introduce them to those folks and bring them into the fold, so to speak, to start kind of learning the culture and getting excited about what you're doing that day that they're there, but what you're going to be doing in short order on the calendar and in the days and weeks and months ahead. So that first challenge is the build excitement piece, right? So everything that you're doing with those individuals, you've got to build excitement to get that hook set, to get them engaged and eager to participate and to come back, right? That's the big piece. The second piece of the challenge is to start a community project and to share it on social media. So this is one where, the sky's the limit, right? You can do this by yourselves. You can do this in a vacuum with your Grange Hall door closed and just the group of you sitting around coming up with an idea. Or you can open up that front door and you can invite members from all the other organizations that make your community a community, right? Bring in folks from the library district or the school district or the fire district or the local, American Legion, you name it, right? Find those organizations, you work with them, and bring them to the table, and then talk about what sort of community project would rise to the top and be something that you should start in your community, right? If the 200 of us that are on here tonight are in a room talking about what sort of events we should put on the list, then that list is only going to be as big as the 200 of us and our ideas and our collective experience, right? But if we go out and we get all the other organizations in our community to come and sit with us, then guess what? That list gets that list gets bigger, and the prioritization probably gets a little bit more refined and is a little bit more true to the needs of the community. So that's part of this community project idea is, yes, you can do it by yourself, but look how much more fun it would be to bring all those other folks and then guess what? That event is benefiting not from just Grange members, but now you've got all the families from the school, and you've got the employees at the library district, plus the patrons that go to the library and see the notice. You've got the folks from the American Legion that are going to come. You've got all these different organizations that are going to be willing to help because they've got some skin in the game. They got to help decide what you're doing, where you're doing it, how you're doing it, who's raising the money. All of those things are better when more people are engaged in that process. Third part of the challenge is to attend a local government meeting and to talk about something that's important to your Grange, to your membership, to your community, right? I mean, remember, this is one of those nonpartisan pieces to this where Grange is nonpartisan. So we're not talking about elected politics. We're talking about issues, and we're talking about issues that are important to our membership. We're talking about issues that are important to our neighbors and to the community that our Grange is involved in. So, check out the meeting schedule for, it differs what they're called around the country, but the county commissioners or the county council or the city council or the board of directors, whatever the name is in your community, find out when they meet, find out what you have to do to sign up to speak. Can you do it at the door when you walk in? Do you need to call somebody and get on the agenda ahead of time? And then bring some of your buddies with you to offer lend some support if you need that. But and it's, when Chris goes and Chris talks, it's just Chris, and it's just what I think and feel. But if I'm there and I've got my 5 Mile Prairie Grange hat on, or somebody, one of the state presidents that's on is there as the president of the state Grange, or if I get to go somewhere as president of the national Grange, well, guess what? All of a sudden, it's not just about Chris. It's about all these people that you represent, all of these constituents that these folks have, and this is important to us. This is why we're here, and this is what we have to say, and this is why this is important, right? So there's lots of ways to get involved. We're working on what we're going to call a playbook that'll be coming out here super soon. That is something that'll be like imagine in your head if if you played football, the one page for, the end around play, and it's got all these lines, and it's got some X's and O's on it, and it's showing where you go and how you do it, and how you make that play successful. That's what we're putting together with this playbook, is it's going to have different pages for different things that make you successful. And this one's going to be about reaching out to those local offices in your hometowns and in your legislative districts that your electeds have, that you can go talk to them at the local office. You don't need to go to your state capital. You don't need to make some pilgrimage to Washington, D.C. You can speak with them just the same at their local district office. And that way, again, you can bring a carload and make an appointment and go in and chat about these issues based on Grange policy, based on what your Grange feels is important. So that's one of the big pushes for this year's Grange Month is this concept of advocacy, and the concept that this is one of those foundational pieces of Grange that make us who we are, and that will continue that that ability to be in front of the waves, so to speak, right? That we're not sitting in the back of the bus, willing to go wherever the heck the bus is going to go, but that when we get on the bus, we're looking to drive it, right? We want to be the driver of that bus, to get up front and know where it's going, be in charge of where it's going, and that's the important piece of this, is to not be reactive, but to try to be proactive. A little bit difficult right now with some of the policy stuff that's going on, because you don't know in 24 hours if it's going to switch back or what's going to happen. But it's sure an exciting time to watch what's going on. So that's the third piece, is the advocacy piece. And so that goes back up to the third thing that you wrote down, which was advocate, right? And then the fourth thing we wrote down was to connect to Project Sustenance. And look at that. That's the fourth challenge in this 4-part challenge, is connect your Grange to Project Sustenance. It's hard for me to imagine, I guess let me rephrase that, a Grange in this country that isn't doing something already that fits within Project Sustenance, right? Something that addresses food security. That's the first part of it. Something that talks about personal, or that deals with personal sustainability. That's the second part. And the third part is individual or community resilience. So that's where Project Sustenance came from, is because you're already doing it, right? But we wanted something that we could kind of hang our hat on and keep marketing and showing the information, which was another one of those sliders, right, that was going across on the homepage, but that there's this consistent message, and it's consistent from Grange to Grange to Grange and state to state, and it doesn't matter if you're, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, little, big, new Grange, reorganized Grange, 150-year-old Grange. Everybody's doing something with Project Sustenance. So this should be a piece of cake. I mean, every single one of you should say, check, we're already doing that, right? We've already got one of the 4 pillars figured out for this challenge. So that's the connect to Project Sustenance part of this challenge is use Grange Month as the vehicle, as the excuse to get this stuff going, right? To make your community aware of how your activities are making a difference, how you're helping your community grow stronger. That's the absolute focus of Grange Month, if not every month, right? I mean, that's what we do. That's what we're made out of. If you wrung us out, that's what's going to come out is that focus on making communities stronger every single day, over and over and over. There's never a time when you say, done, we've got it, right? We're finished and we can rest. There's always more to do and a better way to do it and more people to get engaged. That's the fun part of this, is that there's always more, right? I mean, I hear the phrase good old days. Well, gosh darn it, make tomorrow the good old day, right? That's incumbent upon each and every one of us to look in the mirror and say, why am I going to let some dudes from the 1950s control the good old days? I want my days to be the good old days, right? Is there a hell yeah, right? I mean, is there still people on, Amanda? Are we alive out there?
I'm
That,
alive.
We are.
there we go. I mean, but that's the piece here, is we have got to make our day the good old days.
That is so refreshing to hear, Chris. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I don't know who's talking,
It's Shelby from Ono.
Hey, Shelby from Ono, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to do it elsewise, right? I mean, we've got to take responsibility for what we've got and what you have in your local Grange. And if you don't like the look of it, then fix it. If you're not building excitement, then find some folks that can help you build excitement. If you're not trying something new, then set a goal to try something new. If you're not advocating, and that's probably for some Granges the hardest one to do, get a hold of us and we can give you some ideas, or chat with some other Grange members about things that they do to advocate. But there's a lot of ways to do that. And if you're like, I'm not gonna stand up in front of somebody, that darn city council meeting's televised, I am not getting on there. There's some other things you can do. We can get you set up to nail that one. And then connecting to Project Sustenance, if nothing else, you got to be doing that one already. Everybody's doing that. You're serving a dinner, you're helping families that had a house fire, you're somebody that got a bad medical report, you're out there helping everybody. That's the pieces here that make our community stronger. So kind of following back up, I have no idea where we're at time wise. 6:17, we're all right. So, but circling back to making Grange Month whenever it feels good and right for you, right? It just seems like there's a lot of Granges that feel like they're stuck because National said it's April. I don't know where April came from. It came a long time before I was born. But if you want to make it May, make it May. If you want to make it June, July, and August, knock your socks off. Do what's right for your Grange, and shame on you if you don't, right? Say, we're not doing April. It's cold, it's miserable, it's rainy, there's nothing going on in April. We're going to do it some other month. More power to you. Absolutely. And this challenge is also going to take you more than 1 month, probably. Maybe some of you can get get all 4 of those things done by the end of whatever month you choose, but maybe not. And then because you're going to set those big audacious goals, it's just going to keep rolling, right? And pretty soon everybody's going, why are we talking about April? Because we've got just as many hashtag Grange months in May, June, July, August, September, October as we do in April. So let's just scrub Grange month and let's just call it Grange all the time, right?
So Chris, I'm going to interject for just a second and let you know that we had, well, I had a private question of why April was Grange month, and just quick background, that's the month in which Fredonia Grange in New York was first chartered, and that is the first Grange and still active, continuously Grange in the nation. So there's your history on why April, but certainly it makes sense if your Grange is, chartered in June or December, that your Grange month might reflect that. Pete Pomper asked for some examples of the personal sustainability part. And so if you don't mind, I'm going to just quick screen share back to our Project Sustenance page, which you notice is nationalgrange.org/Project Sustenance. And
which you can also get from that slider at the top.
And you can see more information about each of these categories, read about what we mean by these categories. And then you can go down here and click on whichever one you're interested in, and it will bring up anything that kind of falls under that category. And you'll notice that some of these things fall under multiple categories. So just so you can sort by area, but you can also see some examples like hands-on skills, financial literacy, different things, learning about finances, creating a budget, those type of things, as well as developing your own personal skills, like having career fairs or public speaking contests, things that Granges have been doing for a long, long time, or learning how to collect rainwater, do different things like that. And you'll see as more Granges share their information with us about the projects that they're doing, those ideas will show up here, and you can click on one of those ideas. And if my internet wants to work, there you go. You'll see a little bit of information about the resources required. And if a Grange has submitted their information about doing this, you might also see how to create a budget for that specific project, or a timeline that might work for you, or something that you can adapt for your local Grange based on an idea that another Grange may have had that you want to follow up on. So I figured I'd do that since it's a quick screen share. And now I will let you know that we are super excited to welcome Christiane Clegg from Platkill, New York. She said their Grange is just getting up and running again, reorganizing. And so she's looking to connect with other Grange members. We connected her with Heidi, who's in her state from the Shipmates program. But welcome, Christiane. We're excited to have you here.
Absolutely.
Other connections, I'll just note that there's several people who noted that they are taking quite a bit of notes tonight to take back to their Granges. So let me ask you, Chris, what would you hope somebody who goes to their next meeting and says, during the good of the order, I want to share 3 things or 4 things or 2 things that I got from this program. What do you hope they go away with?
Number one, that Grange is on fire right now, right? That things are happening, that people are excited, that we're pushing forward, and that it's up to us. There isn't anybody else that's gonna come save us or make it better or change anything about it. So number one, it's up to us, and people are doing that. Grange members are doing that every single day in Granges across the country. That's the first one is dang, I didn't realize that this thing was on fire like this, right? That's number one. Number two, hopefully, is that they realize that, that every member realizes that they're a part of something bigger than just them. Either individually or as your little local Grange. And I get it. I know that there's a lot of little Granges out there with not a huge membership roll, and they're tired, and they need to know that they've got this Grange family that'll help. You know, it's not a handout, it's a hand up. That's the way I always say it is we're gonna give a hand up and help them become what they want to be as a Grange. So the National Grange Executive Committee, and there's some of them on here this evening, 1000% that if a Grange wants help, we are going to help them and get them the resources they need to be successful. All you got to do is let us know that you're in that spot and you need some help, and you're going to get it. So that is the second one, that we're not in this by ourselves. And the third one, hopefully that they've taken some ideas that there's other resources in their community that can help them with this. That if the 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 active members of your Grange just can't do an entire whatever event, fill in the blank, right, by yourselves, that if you invite the scout troop, or you invite the American Legion, or you invite the parent group at the local elementary school to come help you, then all of a sudden you've got plenty of hands to do that event, and then you reciprocate, right? You reach out and help them when they've got something coming up, or you do an in-kind donation. You let those scouts sell their popcorn or their cookies out of your parking lot. You help them however that might work in your area to the benefit of both of you. So I think those are kind of some of the big things that I would hope. And then, you know, if you didn't know that we had a website or that we've got these resources up, that's kind of another thing, that they're there if you need them. But my hope really is that this is kind of the bare bones, I guess, more so than maybe years in the past, because we don't want to waste your guys's ideas, your thoughts about what it takes to make your communities better, to get your Grange fired up. If your Grange has a demographic that is mostly super young families, then you're going to do something different than a Grange that's got a demographic of seniors, right? So find the thing that makes sense for you and how you engage in your community, and also what your community needs. So I think there's so many opportunities, so many things you can get excited about. That's the take home, is get excited and be the spark that gets somebody else excited about what we can do to make this thing, that snowball. I keep talking about that snowball, and it feels like we're just pushing this thing up this mountain yet. But gosh darn it, we've got to be getting close to that point where we're gonna be able to push it over the top, right? And then it's just gonna be stand back, because that sucker's gonna start rolling and building and getting bigger, and it's gonna be pretty amazing to watch. That's what I'm excited to see, is that snowball start down the other side.
I am so excited that you mentioned that Grange isn't on fire, because we just got a new application sent in today for a newly reorganized Pomona Grange. I mean, this is what, the third in 2 weeks or something like that. This is growth is happening. We see tonight we've got Christiane on here with a Grange that's just getting their feet under them. I mean, how awesome is that? And yeah, absolutely, sharing that with your local Grange is so huge, because I think it's sometimes hard. Yeah, you get stuck, and then you can't see outside your walls. So these events are amazing to be able to let us do that. I'll also mention Bonnie Mitson is on here. She's with the National Grange Community Service Team. And she's noted that the state directors can check on their community service form if they've participated, or the Granges have participated in Project Sustenance stuff. Paul Hanks from California, in a Grange that's always killing it. So they're tracking their programs and overlaying them with some Project Sustenance stuff. So that thing seems to be really taking hold. We're excited about that. And and Ailey would like to give us a rephrase of the Alicia Keys song and make it Grange on fire instead of This Girl is on fire. So
There we go. There we go. And I'm looking at Rebecca and Kennedy in the center of my screen. They're like the center square in the wheel here tonight. There they are. This is the other thing, right? Is to get this next generation ready to roll, to hear the positiveness, to be part of the process, to be part of the action. Give her a job at the event, right? Make sure that they're learning the same important things that we learned when we were that age. That's the key here, is to make sure that all of the Kennedys across the country are learning how important Grange is to for the future of their community, right? That's the thing that drives, you know, the long days and the all the work, is knowing that we got this generation that we've got to make this ready to go for. And the goal is that for any single one of us, right? Any single one of us, look in the mirror and look at yourself and repeat after me that I leave this thing better than I found it. I leave this thing better than I found it. And why? Because of her, right? And everyone that looks just like her. We have got to leave it better, guys. So that's the piece of this that is so exciting, is to see them on here, to see that smile, and to know that she's learning Grange. She's learning how important that is in that community. Absolutely. So thanks for joining your mom tonight. Yeah.
Say you're welcome. You can talk. Say you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. So what else do we have? I have now talked for about an hour.
Well, Madam President,
You guys are afraid that I'm going to go for another one, I'm sure. But what do we? Who wants to share or have some stories to?
Madam President, can you hear me?
I can, brother
Okay.
Paul. What do you got?
Well, as you know, we're in the planning stages for our year, and you and the first dude were here at our last zucchini races, and so we're trying to figure out how big and what direction we want to go in. So going back to what you talked about, people having skin in the game, we have spent many years kind of competing with the other organizations in our community. And we're taking a different approach and extending the olive branch. Susan and I have 2 appointments. One for me tomorrow. I'm speaking at a car club meeting, and I'm going to enlist them if they would like to join in our zucchini races this year. So what better way to have a car show and the races, and see what kind of help and if they would like to enlist. So there's a way of joining hands and not competing, but giving everybody a little slice and growing uh, our presence in the community. And tonight, Susan, I'm proud to say, is handing out a charter to a newly chartered Grange that we chartered our first as the representatives tonight. So she's not here. So I've been trying to find my place online here and feel my comfort zone in talking. But the other thing I wanted to say was next month with the Grange month, I was looking at our calendar, and we're kicking off the week actually with our annual drive-through vegetable plant sale. So again, that will overlay with the Project Sustenance for our community. We started that during COVID. when you couldn't have one-on-one. So we felt that we still had the plants that we had to sell, so we turned it into a drive-through situation, and we've continued to do it that way, and it's been successful. So that's one I will try to get photographs and send to the National Grange as an idea for other Granges across the nation. It's a really good and profitable program for your Grange, and it helps your community because you'll eventually hear stories how much perhaps one person has a tomato plant and it really got them through some hard times. So I just wanted to offer those things as programs, and I'm excited for Grange Month, and we'll see what we can do in our Grange to upload some of those things to national so that they can be a benefit, hopefully, to other people. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's great. I was just gonna say, make sure you write those up and add them to that. We can add them to that website list of ideas. That's great. How about
Absolutely.
how about some funny, what's your favorite Grange Month story or some event that you did that you still think about or laugh about? There's got to be some memories of Grange Month out there. At least the ones that are family friendly to share.
I am Shelby with Ono Grange here. One of our favorite memories, and this was before, you know, we lost our hall. And this is more touching to like collaboration with other organizations. So we had a Valentine's dance we would do in February every year. Well, our local fire department, Cal Fire Department, they always attend for PR reasons and, you know, just to be a part of the community, which we absolutely love. Well, some firefighters showed up to our Valentine's dance, and a couple of them were rather strapping. They were very handsome. And just on the fly, we auctioned off dances with a good-looking firefighter, and we raised $700 between 3 firefighters auctioned off for dances, and it was so fun. It was just on the whim, and they came to our hall a couple of days ago to check out our new hall and said that they remembered that and they're willing to do it again.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Gotta watch out those firefighters.
Chris knows not all of them are strapping, but it's okay. Bonnie just, you know, mentioned that she'd love for Paul to share that story of the drive-through plants on the project forum. We encourage all of you guys to be sharing your ideas. You'll notice that I did a really quick screen share here on that Project Sustenance page. Anywhere you go, you're going to see this sidebar. And right here, submit your Grange project. You'll be able to click that. You'll get a job form that opens up. And on this, you can put your information. And it is very likely that somebody connects with you to ask you for a few more details if necessary. But it has lots of pieces of the puzzle that it's asking you to fill in. You don't have to fill all of this in. Some of your projects won't have this much in-depth stuff. Some of it just helps us be able to provide greater resources to Granges who are looking to do something like what you've done. So if you have example files of, you know, notes or budgets or whatever that you've created, great. If you got some photos and resources, we'd love to be able to put those up instead of having stock photos. But you've got lots of options to be able to share these things. And then we ask you if you know how to use Canva, because we're going to work on some training that you might be able to benefit from as well. So we want to be able to help you as well when you're helping other Granges.
Well, and Bonnie, if you haven't already, your Grange should be putting one in there for that excess food cart that you've got out next to your Grange hall. That one is definitely one that merits being in that list. Who else? Who's got a story to tell or question, or what did we leave undone that you're like, wait a minute, that didn't make any sense?
One of the many years that I've been a member, I've going into 44 or 45 years now. One of the things that was always instilled to me by my oldsters that brought me into the Grange, meaning my parents and their friends, is, you know, we have membership drives and stuff like that, which is great. But the most success that I've seen over the years in Grange is build an event, have some fun, and then spillover will happen. We've got most of our members from having fun events, and they want to be a part of what we do. So don't be so worried about giving a membership thing to somebody, but invite them to an event and then let them decide at the event and then place the membership in. Just a strategic way. Invite them to a meal and give them a complimentary pass to a breakfast at your stuff, and just invite them. And if you, the old saying, if you build it, they will come. And we also are instrumental in our local country fair, and we run we call it the showcase. And we're drawing all of the artisans and the handcrafters and the homemaker stuff out of the community to come showcase what they can do best. Well, we got a gal last year who entered, and lo and behold, she is the committee chair this year for our Grange. So we got her as a person that came in and did a bake item, and now she's in charge of our showcase representing our Grange. So I just wanted to add that.
Fabulous. Who else? Anybody else want to share?
I guess I could share.
Sure. Hey,
Hello.
Kathy.
Hi. Sorry I'm late. Well, our Grange, our supporting Grange we're struggling. We're down to like a skeleton crew trying to keep things going. Two things that we're doing is, well, our state Grange started a strategic planning. They had a lady come in to help with them. We actually reached out to her, and she started working with us, and she's really got us really thinking about our Grange and our focus and where we want to go. And we got to come up with a mission statement, which we didn't have before. Looking at National Grange's mission statement and our state mission statement and all that. So we're working to try and get on track. But tonight we went to our garden club meets at the same hall, and they're having a how to start a garden workshop. And while we're there, we're like, hey, we're having a workshop a week from Saturday for how to create an herb garden. Like, really? Oh, we're really interested in that. And we started talking back and forth about how we want to work together. And we've talked about working with one of these groups, but now it's like we're physically talking to each other, and it's just kind of lit a spark. We're really hoping this is going to go someplace.
Good.
So, hopefully between the strategic planning and working with the groups in the community, and we got something started. We're hoping this is going to be a good start. So, yeah.
That's great. Hey, and before I forget to mention it too, there was a little bit of a tease that there was going to be a prize, right, or a gift for getting on tonight and hanging with us. I think if anybody that was on I don't think you had to wait till the very end, but that is going to be a free 1-year subscription to Good Day Magazine. And so what you can do with that extra subscription, if you, for some unknown reason, you're not already getting it, is you can use that for when you go to advocate, right? You can bring it with you to that state representative's office and leave it with them as an example of what the Grange is doing around the country. You can bring it to the local library and share it with them, or any place in your community where there's a waiting room that would make sense. Maybe it's an auto dealership where people wait for their cars to get serviced, or maybe it's the local medical office where folks wait. But don't be be afraid to share that magazine. So you're gonna get a 1-year subscription, and then the renewal of that will be up to you. But you can put it in your name, you can put it in your Grange's name, but please share those magazines. Please get them out and about in your community, and get some bang for that buck. But that's the free thing for tonight. So I thought that was a good way to get those, get some more of those out and about. Everybody that you'll probably be getting an email that says, send us a mailing address, right? Or, because I would imagine that they're going to be paper and not the electronic versions. So look for that email that'll come to see which address you want and name you want that free subscription to go to.
You know, maybe the idea here is if you get back to us by the end of April and say that you took a friend to your Grange meeting, that you get that second subscription that John's talking about for your friend for the year. So we'll figure.
If you get back to us and you've accomplished the challenge, then we could do a second one. Stephanie's probably going, stop already. I got to enter all those into some stuff. So this shouldn't be a surprise. Phil told me he was going to tell you. So hopefully you're not going, he did? Oh, geez. Oh, well, sorry.
I should, for a second, this is the lady who gets to do all of your subscription stuff. This is Stephanie Wilkins. If you've heard her but never seen her, she has been with us for 25 years this year. All right. Well, I see a couple.
We'll leave. Why don't you turn off the recording, Amanda? But we can leave this open if folks want to chit chat. We can do that for a little.